Just the other day, Defense News congressional reporter Joe Gould had readers asking if one of his stories was true. They showed him screenshots of what looked like his story with an absurd headline suggesting that President Biden's pick to leave the Pentagon was in favor of disbanding the largest U.S. military service. And spoiler alert, the headline was fake, and it took on a life of its own. With more, here's Defense News' Mehta and Joe Gould.
All right, Joe, thanks for joining me for what's one of the weirder stories I think that either of us has seen. Certainly the weirdest one that I think you've been involved in. Walk me through how you ended up being featured in a disinformation meme that's been going around the internet.
Sure. We're talking about a hoax news story that had multiple lies in it, that the new Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, was considering defunding, maybe disbanding the Army, and that he was considering relying on China for America's national defense. It had my byline on it, and it looked like a defense news story, but it was anything but. There was no story. It was a doctored image file. I got an email on a Friday afternoon asking whether this thing was true, and over the course of the weekend, I got about 6 emails like that. I watched it reproducing on Facebook dozens and dozens of times, 4chan, Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, but also Telegram, and that's an app popular with the QAnon conspiracy community. From what I learned, anybody who follows the military like we do, or is in the military, knows that all of that is totally laughable. You can watch Lloyd Austin's confirmation hearing and see that that's all lies. But people who are detached from reality, consuming right-wing and other conspiracy theories, are predisposed to believe that kind of thing.
Yeah, one of the things that was really interesting about how you wrote the story up, which folks can find on defensenews.com, is how you actually reached out to a number of these people and your interactions. Some of them were, interactions where people said, "Whoa, sorry, I'm glad you pointed that out." Some of them were a little different. What was that like for you?
Well, look, there's research out there that backs up the adage that a lie spreads more quickly than the truth. And what that research also shows is that it's not bots sharing information, it's people. And, I tried to notify people on Facebook, but it was like trying to put out a forest fire with a teacup. And it was only when Facebook finally got around to sweeping the memes off that they started to disappear. One woman who posted it was embarrassed when I alerted her, and I told her, we're both victims. This was a meme that was crafted to deceive her by hijacking my identity and my credibility. Journalists like you and me work to deliver the truth and inform the public. Somebody was doing the opposite in my name, and that was motivating. But so were all the emails I was getting from people who either suspected it was fake and reached out for confirmation, or who were scared it was true. But as you pointed out, there are some people who are not so curious, not so intellectually honest. And when I told them who I was, that they had posted a fake meme, some of them got defensive, and they said that they were going to keep it posted because it revealed some larger truth that they believed about Joe Biden. And that kind of ignorance and persistent lying was disheartening, but it also gives you a sense of the problem.
So obviously this impacted a lot of civilians, but we've seen stuff like this spread in the military. We know there's concerns about disinformation about military members. Obviously this matters because it was dealing with the Secretary of Defense, but how is the military going to have to deal with this? Is this an issue that you think is going to keep spreading going forward?
The story's not about me. It's about lies that were spread about Lloyd Austin, echoing the defund the police slogan used by the Black Lives Matter movement. These memes target the fault lines in our society. Race is one of them. And he's the first Black Secretary of Defense. I don't think this is the last time we'll see something like this. Another thing is that there was a Air Force general who was impersonated on Telegram, which was spreading the meme. And when I reached out to him, he said that the account didn't belong to him. So something for military members to think about is that they could potentially be impersonated online and their credibility hijacked, just like happened to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, thanks for joining us to talk about this issue and shed some light on it. I'm Mehta. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, gentlemen. And now, for defense industry headlines. There aren't a lot of nail-biters in the contract world, but here's one that slipped in at the last minute. The United Arab Emirates signed off on a deal to purchase up to 50 F-35 Joint Strike Fighter aircraft and 18 MQ-9 Reaper drones from the United States. The deal has been estimated at some $24 billion. Here's the thing, the agreement was one of the final acts of the Trump administration, occurring just an hour before President Joe Biden was inaugurated. A source with knowledge of the situation confirmed separately to Defense News that the US and UAE officials on Wednesday signed that letter of agreement, which solidifies the terms of a foreign military sale between two nations. A problem with the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle is causing a supply chain delay. The Army is designing and testing a solution to address overheating and toxic gas production in the newest version of the vehicle's turret battery, but its material release is delayed by almost a year. That's according to the Services Bradley Program Office. The problem itself was discovered during a test at Fort Hood, Texas. Kenya will be getting vehicles to combat militants. Its military has ordered 118 four-wheel drive personnel carriers from Turkish armored vehicle manufacturer Caterpillar. A Kenya Defense Forces spokesperson said the Ministry of Defense is finalizing the deal for the mine-resistant, ambush-protected Hazir vehicles through Turkey's Export Credit Agency. The Kenyan military will primarily deploy the Hazir vehicles for counter-terror operations against the Al-Shabaab militant group. Sources told Defense News a contract might be inked within weeks and could be worth up to $73 million. The U.S. Army organization responsible for modernizing the service's tactical network will soon have a new leader. The Army Chief of Staff announced Monday that Brigadier General Juth Ray, the J6 of Central Command, will replace Major General Peter Gallagher as director of the Network Cross-Functional Team, a critical piece of the Army's modernization efforts. Plans for the team include increasing network resiliency, increasing broadband, and connecting the service's enterprise network in the offices with its tactical networks on the battlefield.